Well, well, well. It's Monday, baby. I know there's a whole lot of tea in the brew. I know what you want me to talk about, boo, because Daddy wants me to talk about it too. He seems like he wants everybody in the US of A talking about this particular subject today. What am I talking about? I'm talking about him deploying the National Guard into the Capitol, baby, into D.C. over crime. Yes, that's what he wants you talking about today. So it makes me think we should be looking at the forest instead of the tree. Why does he want us all talking about this? And why all of a sudden with this play? Yes. Does it really have anything to do with a mediocre ass little white boy named Big Balls who had his big balls handed to him by a 15-year-old little brown girl? Is it really about that, friend? What is that play today? Come on now, let's think about this for a minute. I do love to sit back and look at the entirety of the forest and not just the trees. And today the tree is the National Guard being deployed into the Capitol. That's the tree. He wants you looking at it. He wants you looking at it. And there's so many theories behind why this is. Let's go over a few of these theories, shall we? Because I have a theory of my own. First, racism's always at play every single day in the US of A. Considering the fact that that day that 19-year-old big balls, mediocre ass white boy got his big balls handed to him by a brown girlfriend on that same exact day on the West Coast, a bunch of white kids, teenage kids, decided they were going to beat up on a black boy. But that never made the goddamn news. So it's really not about teen violence, because if it was about teen violence, they would have touched on that story too. They'd have said, look, it's happening everywhere. Teen violence everywhere. That's what he was trying to say. And he come out to say that he thinks that 14-year-olds should be considered as adults. Even though last week we learned in Utah, if you are related, if you're white and you're related to somebody in the GOP, well, you can grape a 13-year-old and be charged as a child, not as an adult. But now all of a sudden, Daddy wants to make 14-year-olds adults. And if you pay attention to anything that goes on across the US of A, you'll know that in red states here, there, and everywhere, they've lowered the age of consent to 14. You know, consent, dear, to get married and get frisky. Considering the fact that we know that Daddy W. Pants is all in those files and he's had a proclivity for young ladies since back in the day. Katie Johnson, say her name with me today. She was 13 when Daddy decided to do what he wanted to do to her. So it is absolutely a play to lower the age of consent, so all of his past crimes just go away. That's right. He'll be able to say, look, yes, I was with that 14-year-old girl, but they're old enough to consent. I didn't commit a crime. Instantaneously, his past crimes just go away. But then when you back up even a little bit more and take a look around, what else did he do last week? Baby, he decided he was going to meet with Voldemort Poontang this week. Now, he says he wants to meet with Voldemort Poontang because Voldemort Poontang just won't agree to a ceasefire deal. He won't stop trying to kill. But, what about all the times that little Marco Polo Rubio, went over to Sandland to meet with the Voldemort Poontang man? Daddy never went then. He never cared. And if you'll remember everything he's had to say, he keeps saying that we need to get Poontang and Zelensky in the same room to talk to one another. But then he schedules to meet Poontang this week without Zelensky. And when did that meeting decide to come about? When did Daddy decide that he actually wanted to meet face-to-face with Voldemort Poontang? Oh yeah, that was directly one day after he was threatened by Voldemort Poontang and his number one guy in charge, that they had videos of Daddy. That's right. You remember, Daddy got real bad at Voldemort Poontang about 2 weeks ago because he was bombing the hell out of Ukraine and he wouldn't stop his little shit show play. So Daddy Dumpy Pants came out to say more sanctions on Russia today. And what did Voldemort Poontang say back to Daddy? He laughed in his face. He said, sanction us if you want to. It don't bother us, boo. Didn't care, not one bit. And that pissed Daddy off a bit. So what did Daddy do? He decided he was going to deploy 2 U.S. nuclear subs close to Russia. That's what he decided he was going to do as a show of force and a threat to Voldemort Poontang. And what did Voldemort Poontang do? Immediately, He immediately came out to say, via the way of his second in charge, that Daddy better back the hell off of Russia, or we're going to have to release some of the videos that we have of Daddy and his proclivities. Within 24 hours, Daddy Dumpy Pants was scheduling a personal meeting with Voldemort Poontang. Within 24 hours, he was ready to meet with Voldemort Poontang. Voldemort didn't threaten Ukraine. He threatened Daddy with video evidence of his crimes and proclivities. And within 24 hours, Daddy had scheduled to meet with Voldemort Poontang in Alaska without Zelensky. Now, as of today, leaders of over the UK's way and the EU want to get on the phone with Daddy Dumpy Pants to give him some advice that he should not be meeting with Poontang alone. And after months of declaring that Voldemort Poontang and Zelensky be in the same room for a meeting, all of a sudden Daddy didn't care if Zelensky was there. He wants to talk to Poontang alone. I mean, you really got to back up and you got to look at everything, baby. You got to look at everything, honey. Even though Daddy is not playing chess, honey. He's barely playing fucking Chinese checkers. He has no marbles, baby. But either way, I'm just like looking at the forest and not just the tree. And if he wants me to just be looking at the tree of DC, something else is going on, honey. Something else is going on. He wants to lower the age of consent to 14 to make his past crimes go away. He wants to occupy DC so you can never make him go away. He's a racist motherfucker. And oh, and by the way, when we're talking about the racist thing, get this, honey, get this. So the right-wing hate machine that is these little proud bottom boys and all that, they've been mad as hell at Daddy as of late. Particularly when Daddy came out to say, now he backtracked on this, but y'all remember the day just about 2 weeks ago, Daddy came out to say that if you boycott Israel in any kind of way, that you wouldn't receive aid. Well, the right-wing hate machine that is all the Proud Bottom Boys and all of those little neo-Nazi groups and shit, honey, they got mad at Daddy. Threatened to not support him anymore. They said, this isn't America first, this is Israel first. And you know they're all anti-Semitic as hell. So one day they're in with Daddy, the next day they're out with Daddy. And all this love that Daddy's had for Dudu Netanyahu and Israel really has driven a wedge between him and the bulk of his supporters who happen to be, you know, right-wing, alt-right, hate machine, neo-Nazi fools. They've been upset with Daddy. So he needs to win back some favor with them. So an absolute play that would look nothing but more than racism helps to win them back. It helps to win them back. That part of his base that makes up the majority of his base, which is only 17% of the US of A, and that little part of that base is, I think, of somewhere around between 9 and 11%, and that fluctuates. That fluctuates every other day as people wake the hell up across the US of A. So he's hitting a lot of things right here with this. He gets to occupy DC. He gets to lower the age of consent to make his crimes go away. He gets to win back his hate base that are pissed off that he has become pro-Israel and all of that since they're anti-Semitic as hell. And he gets to distract the entirety of the USA away from the files in his little meeting with Voldemort Poontang after Voldemort Poontang threatened him with video evidence of his proclivities. None of it had to do with crime. None of it. Not a damn bit of it had to do with crime. Just something to think about on this Monday. Just something to think about.